Woo. What's up, y'all? Season 2. And we live. I'm gonna give it a moment before I really get this show started. Y'all make sure when y'all tap in. Oh, that got my cue. We live. YouTube. We also live on YouTube. Look at that. Oh, come on. Come through, internet. Hey, I see y'all. Y'all creeping in. Say what's up in the comments. Season 2. We live. Season 2, y'all. Kicking off today. We got a great show today. We got a great show. Make sure y'all sharing and tagging y'all people. Let me because I'm about to kick this off. I'm about to kick it off. I just want to make sure that my internet is good. Let me know in the comments. Y'all watching. Come help your sister out. Tell me, how is my internet? How is my view? Am I doing good here? Because it looks a little crazy on my end, but I want to make sure before I really kick off this show. Hey, what's going on, Tiana? Hey, I see you. But yes, please, y'all, again, share this live because we got a great conversation today. We're talking Black and leadership with some local elected officials. And man, it's going to be a good one. This is how we kicking off season 2. Your girl keep bringing them good old real and raw conversations because, we need them. So we finna kick this show off, okay? Again, share, tag your friends, tell them come tune in, tap in. The Hood Talks podcast is back. Season 2, coming with some dopeness. I got some dopeness. And guess what I got? I'm finna drop it right now for y'all so we can really go ahead and get this show started. Hey, yes. Let me bring in my guests, y'all. Let me bring in all of my guests. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. Look, we got a handful of guests today, y'all. Some great elected officials in our community, and we're gonna kick off this conversation. Again, make sure y'all tagging y'all folks and sharing this live. But I'm gonna let these great people introduce themselves one by one. We're gonna go ahead and start with Miss Ella Jones, Mayor of Ferguson. Ella Jones, come on.
Hello. My name is Ella Jones. I'm the first African-American female elected to the city of Ferguson.
Yes.
Woo, I am truly excited about that. I love my city, this diverse city, and I'm looking forward to having fun. And I want to thank you, Shavana, for inviting me here today. But I've been a resident of Ferguson for almost 42 years. My daughter went to Griffith School, Ferguson Middle School. She graduated from McClure High School as a scholar athlete. My husband, he worked at Boeing, and I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years. I graduated from the University of Missouri, St. Louis with a degree in chemistry. However, that's a hard degree to get. All right.
That just goes to show you so St. Louis. So St. Louis. She naming all the areas, all the time. St. Louis. But come on, Miss Ella, what else about you? Tell us.
So I became an entrepreneur, a sales director with Mary Kay. My unit produced over $230,000 in the course of a year. Yes, I've earned 7 cars for Mary Kay, diamond rings, bumblebees, but I resigned my commission with Mary Kay as a sales director to serve my community full time. I want to give back to my community. And so that's why I'm here today, giving back to my community. And I also pastored 22 years in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So I'm a well-rounded guest today. Thank
That, that
you.
that part. All right, thank you, Miss Ella. Thank you for being here. Come on, Mr. Terry. Tell the folks who you are.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see everybody. It's good to always be in the company of friends. I am Terry Wilson, Councilman Terry Wilson from the great city of Jennings.
Yes.
Um, been in I've been in North County all my life, born and raised in North County. I love North County. Was educated at Lincoln University, got my bachelor's degree there, and came home and didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know that I wanted to serve. And so, I have a history, over 20-year history of working with children. I've started in after-school programming. I worked in the St. Louis Public Schools. I was a football coach for Class C Miller Career Academy. I work for Beyond Housing now, so that's where I really found my passion, really being able to touch the community holistically, helping them with basic wraparound services, and also still being involved with the youth with after-school programming, summer programming, sports programming. I manage the Paysdale Family Support Center in Paysdale, and I've been there for over 11 years now. It's been a blessing. I first got elected to my first office in the Jennings School District as a board member. I served 10 years. Last year I retired. Uh, and it was a heck of a ride. We started off not so well, and it was good to see the progression of the school district, from the hiring of Dr. Tiffany Anderson to the hiring of Dr. Art McCoy. It starts with leadership, and it starts at the top. And when you change the top, you'll see the trickle down effect. So strong leadership matters. And we had a lot of success in the Jennings School District. We were able to upgrade a lot of facilities.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to put the money and the resources where they need to be. We were able to hire quality staff. And I'm proud to say we were able to give the staff a raise every year that I was a board member. And so I'm very proud of that. That's one reason a lot of people don't leave Jennings School District, because we pay well. And so,
Shout out to Jenny's.
you have to pay folks. I always said, I was a athlete myself, but I always say, man, teachers are very important. Educators are very important, and we need to invest those dollars into education and educators, because the future of our children are in their hands, and so that's the most important investment that we can make. And while serving on the school board, I was recruited in the community, because the community saw leadership in myself, and they said, hey, we need you to do some other things. And so I was recruited to run for city council. Ran for city council 6 years ago. And all of the things that I learned on the school board, I tell folks that are interested in politics, the best place to start is a school board, because you really get to hit the ground running. You get to deal with large budgets. You get to deal with staff. You get to deal with a whole lot of things that come at you, and it really helped prepare me to serve on a municipal level as well. And so I'm very excited about the things we're able to accomplish in the city of Jennings right now. We're a city on the move. We support our neighboring cities, because, like I tell everybody, if Jennings isn't doing well, North County isn't doing well. If Ferguson isn't doing well, North County isn't doing well. So we all need to be cheering each other on and making sure that we're doing well throughout our whole area, so we can thrive and just provide the best services for our citizens, and create a place to live, work, and play that we're proud of. And we are proud of where we live, and everybody have their issues. But at the end of the day, I think the positives in our community outweigh the negatives. And so I'm just proud to serve. I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad to be on the show. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. And shout out to you, because you also have a podcast,
Yeah, I do. Little shameless plug. We took a break because everybody knows that I'm in the middle of a campaign right now. So, my whole focus is on the campaign. And but the politics podcast will be back in full effect in 2022. And Mayor Jones, you're definitely slated to be one of my guests. I haven't forgot about you.
Okay.
So, I
yes,
got you,
I beat you to her. But that's all right. And talking about school boards, let's drop the mic on this one. Talking about, we have the president of Ferguson-Florissant School District Board. Okay, this is a big one, y'all, for me also, because I'm in that district and I'm very so happy to have you here and to learn about your experience in that role. So please tell us, Mr. Dr. Walker, who are you and your role in?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. I want to thank you for inviting me to be here today. I want to greet the fellow panelists that are here. And as has already been said, it's always good to be in the company of good people. So let's see. I've lived in North County now for about 25 years. 5 of those years have been in the city of Ferguson. And I worked in the Riverview Garden School District for 14 years. And when I worked in that district, I was a counselor, I was a social worker, also served as a district administrator before leaving that district. And I serve currently as the president of the Ferguson-Florissant School Board. I'm grateful to the community for allowing me the opportunity to serve. I am learning a lot. And when Terry said some of the things that he said, I could really relate to the many pots that you get a chance to kind of have your hands in, and you get a chance to learn so much. So I'm just really, delighted to be here and really just looking forward to having some robust conversation today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Come on, Ferguson's finest. Ferguson, Miss Councilwoman of Ferguson Ward 1. Tell us, Miss Phaedra Nelson, who are you?
How you guys doing? I am so grateful for this opportunity to be here today and to be amongst such wonderful people that you have on this panel today. You have no idea. But I'm Councilwoman Phaedra Nelson for the City of Ferguson Ward 1. I'm a newbie to this, so you all bear with me here. As Dr. Walker already said, I'm learning. Believe me, I'm learning stuff every day. Being a newbie on the council of Ferguson, but I've been in North County for 19 years. I'm originally a U-City girl. Sorry to say, I'm originally a U-City girl. Upbringing started there, but when my high school closed and they moved my high school to North County, my senior year, of course, my family and we picked up and moved to North County so I could be closer to my school and my family be here with me at my school. So my alma mater is Trinity School. And from there, I also graduated from Fontbonne University with a BA in Human Services. But I like to tell people that I live, work, and play right here in my community. I started my humble beginnings of work ethic at Annie Malone Children's Home in the city where I worked for 10 years. And then found my way to the Gateway Region YMCA, where I have been for 19 years. And of those 19 years, I have been at the Emerson YMCA right here in the heart of Ferguson. And that's been from starting in childcare, all the way up to membership director, and now to the community wellness director for the Emerson Family YMCA. So my family, both of my parents reside in the city of Ferguson. They moved from the city and they moved out here to be closer to their grandchildren. My niece and nephew, I have twin niece and nephew who have known nothing but the city of Ferguson and North County, of which they have grown up, and they attend schools out here in North County as well, in Cornet Word and Lutheran North. So my family and I are very invested, and I see so much going on in my communities that kind of pushed me in my efforts a little bit, besides Miss Ella giving me that push when I changed my role at the YMCA, which got me more involved in the community and got me more involved in policy and stakeholders and learning those different things. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it wasn't until I changed my role that I got to be more invested in knowing about politics and how things run, knowing who my council person is, knowing who my mayor is, knowing who my senator is, knowing who my congresswoman or man is. So a lot of us who, I'm a be honest, who did not know or get involved in those things because it wasn't important, but learning and knowing all those things helped me to gather my thoughts and get more involved and know exactly who my person is for my city, who works for me, who is that person that I should be connecting with, as also they should be connecting with me. So that kind of gave me that push to know who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's definitely being here for my community and for the residents of the city of Ferguson.
That part. And so we're going to get into the conversation because you guys kind of already hit a lot on why you're doing it, why you're in the role. It all revolved around the word community, right? Mm-hmm. How we want to better our community. We really want to make an impact. So we're going to get into this and we're going to start off right here. What is something that you would say has been a misunderstanding or misconception that the people in the Black community has had about specifically Black politicians and elected officials? Good question, right?
I think what I would probably say to that is that you have chosen to do this work for some sort of glory, or you know, that your desire to bring about change is not genuine, and that you're looking for some sort of you want to be seen, or you want to be known, or you want to be seen, and that you don't hold the work deeply in your heart, that this is not stuff that you really care about. So I think that is a misconception. Now, that is not to say that those people don't exist, but I do want to say that I think that most people who are doing this work on a daily basis do it because they genuinely care.
That's right. It's not for the money. Please believe.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah, I was just about to say. One misconception is that it's the money, but it, especially serving on a school board. I mean, it's a very thankless job, and what people don't know is it's free. It's volunteer. We volunteer our time. I mean, we didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. Nobody gets paid to be on the school board.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of them boards and commissions where we do need more of us on, but they don't get paid for those positions.
Yeah, they don't get paid. It's a thankless job, and you have to want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you don't need to be there. Because you're really volunteering your time, and it's your love for the community and the importance of the job. And so I would say one of the things is that politicians are rich. Well, I'll speak local politicians. We are definitely
some of them is now. Some of them are. But when we think about our community,
when you get on the federal level and all that, but local elected officials do this for the most part. Local elected officials do this because they truly want to serve their community and see their community thrive. And I know, speaking personally, I spend more money than I make being an elected official. I spend more money helping folks in the community than I make. And I'm just thankful and grateful that God has blessed me to not have any needs or wants, and he's taking care of all my needs and wants. And I don't have to go to any corporation for my daily bread. I go to him. And so I'm very proud of that, and that's why I'm able to serve the way that I serve.
Well, with me, one of the biggest misconceptions is, as being the mayor of Ferguson and being the first Black in the office, they believe that I can go in and just change everything to satisfy certain people. And this is not about groups, or this is not about cliques. It's about serving the people. And when you're in there to serve the people, then you might have this group over here want this favor of that one, or somebody just saying, the biggest thing I found, out is that when the first person who's African American become a mayor, the first thing some people say, well, the city is going to go down.
Mhm.
The businesses are going to pull out the city. And I share that with everyone. You don't have control over people opening and closing their business. The best thing you could do for your community is help sustain your neighborhood. Keep your neighborhood looking good. Don't wait just because the trash man came and some of the trash spill out on the street. Don't call the city to come pick up the trash. You all get together and keep your own neighborhood clean, and you don't have to worry about your neighborhood going to deteriorate because you have a black mayor.
I hate to interrupt you, Mayor, but I do want to say this because I do think that's important, is that we are held, Black people, period, are held at a different standard, right? So if you imagine getting into a role of leadership where you're not only serving for one type of people, right? You have a whole lot of people you're serving for. You become another level of, not what expectation. So it's already first being a Black person. Now it's you're in leadership and you're in power some sort here. Now you have to be held to an unbelievable standard. And I think that's where it comes in at when you're talking about, they say, oh, well, businesses are going to leave and blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. It's because of the standard that we held.
Right, it is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And if I may, one more thing that's a misconception, and Ella was touching on it in terms of the mayor or whoever just coming right in and just doing whatever. A lot of folks in our community really need to be educated on the process of how things work, because it don't just happen like that. It's a process in everything we do in government, and things don't look the way that they really are. And it's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes that the community don't really see. And I think the more we educate our community on everyone's role in government, I think folks will, one, be a little more patient and a little more understanding, because the branches of government are there in place because there is a process in our governmental system. And I think once folks are truly educated on that and understand that, which they won't fully be all the time.
I was going to say, honestly, and I'm speaking for myself, I ain't speaking for nobody. Me, I would say it's a system that is built to keep us in certain spaces and certain things, to keep us from sometimes making, the things that we want to maybe do for our communities. It's like I said, it's a process, but I also think it's a system that's built around it. That's not helping in the sense of us being able to do what we want to do or need to do for our communities. So it's like you have the right mentality and you have the right mindset, you have the heart, the drive to go sit and make those changes, but you're also going in places where you're fighting against people who don't want to make that change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes you're fighting against your own to get simple things done.
You say you fighting against your own to get who? Say that again.
You fight against your own to get simple things done sometimes too, because a lot of things can't move in our community because of small issues amongst the elected officials that are making the decisions. Now the system is in place for us to make change in our community. The thing is, not only the folks that aren't elected need to understand the process, but the people that are elected need to understand the process as well. And there are tools and institutions and trainings in place for that. And a lot of folks just don't take advantage of it. And
they have to give us time, Terry, to learn those tools as well.
Absolutely.
Give us the time to learn them.
Absolutely.
I think
and speaking of the process,
hold on, Miss Ella. Hold on. I think Dr. Sheila was talking.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I just wanted to to add on to what Phaedra and Terry were saying. I think sometimes I also just wish people understood that we've all sort of got things that we advocate for, that we want, that we think are really important, that should be happening in our communities. But I wish people understood that the very same thing that you're super passionate about, that you really, really, really want to see happen, that's going to make you happy, is going to make a whole other segment of people not happy, right?
Yeah.
And so you often find yourself stuck in the middle of having to make a really difficult difficult decision, because you know that no matter how you decide, there's going to be a group of people who aren't going to be happy with you. And so I just sometimes wish that people understood, I guess, the gravity and the weight of these offices, and knowing that we take this stuff home with us at night. When we lay down at night, we're still thinking about that vote that we had and whether or not it was the right way to go, but just hoping, that things work out the way that you want them to. So
come on, Miss Ella, what you was gonna say?
Well, speaking about the process, people don't understand when we are in these roles, we are working. And you have some people, well, why you haven't been in my neighborhood? Well, your neighborhood is not the only neighborhood. For Phaedra and myself, on some Friday evenings, she gets in a car with me. I say, well, let's go to Old Ferguson East neighborhood, and let's ride around and see what's going on. And then we may go to Old Ferguson West. We may go to Forestwood. We may go to Ferguson Woods. But the purpose of that is to see how the neighborhood is looking and progressing. And people fail to realize we can't be out here knocking on your door every week, then we won't get anything done. And the most common thing we hear, you only come around when it's time for you to be reelected. No, didn't you see me pass your street the other day and wave at you? That's a part of being seen. So
I do think that, and that's a valid point. For in my mind too, is like, how do we get more people engaged? And I think it's like starting in spaces like this, in a sense, but also like, go back to what Terry said. I think personally that a lot of people just aren't educated enough about the importance of these roles and being engaged, because we did take it out of school, right? Civic duty and all of that education part was looking out, but people aren't really, they don't know how important it is, because, and then people are in survival mode. But I also want to get in real quick to this question. We know we talk about a lot of times in our communities, the trust between the government, the system, and people in our community. How can we improve that? What can we do? People like you and your field and elected officials, but also community. How can we bridge the gap and rebuild trust from your point of view?
So I'll start off by saying we have to make sure that we're being intentional about being transparent, because transparency is the most honest you can get. And I think a lot
that's
of
where it has to start.
And I think a lot of the confusion starts when folks just don't know. And just as we want the community to be patient as leaders, we know what we signed up for. We know what comes with this. We have to be patient as well, but we have to make sure that we're prepared to point the community in the right direction to get the information and make the information accessible. That's why the use of technology, mailing, phone call, all this stuff is important, but no one has found that silver bullet on communication. And so we have to just continue to strive and just be patient with everyone and keep feeding them the information and get creative. We have to meet them where they are. We have to make sure that we're at events. We have to make sure the information is at events and at the store and at the club. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, turn up.
We have to make sure we go where the folks are and make sure that the information is accessible for them. And we just, like I said, we just have to be patient and be willing to point them in the direction to where they can get the information. So.
And I think I think I would probably just add on to that and say, I think it's important when you start talking about how to build trust is to give people a voice in what is happening in their community, to create those opportunities for them to come out and share what they want to see happen, and to make sure that you are trying to collect that information in different ways. So maybe in person, maybe over Zoom, after school, on the weekend, whatever we need to do to connect so that people have an opportunity to share their voice about whatever the decisions are that need to be made. The other piece of that, though, is that people have to actually have an interest and actually show up and participate, because sometimes what I have seen is people not participate. And I'm not talking about those people that are working 2 jobs or they just are not available to be there, but those people who could be at the table, who don't show up, but then who have a lot of really negative things to say about the decision that was made by those people that did come. So,
but it's really important. I totally agree with you, Dr. Wagner. It's really important that their voices are heard. But again, we definitely need to meet the folks where they are. That's a must. And also going back to making sure that we are educating our folks. That's the biggest part, because we see that they don't show up for a lot of things, show up and show out for a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a voice and they have something to say. And so,
or that they don't care.
Exactly, because that's another misconception, that a lot of people feel like we don't care.
In our community, yes, they feel like we don't care.
And that's huge in our community, that they feel like we don't care. And I don't feel that that's always the case, that we don't care. And then having knowledge of things, I don't know, besides technical, social media and all of that, those different things being a plus, but also with us being out in our communities and being at events or just showing up just because is prime. And we have to stay focused on that.
Yeah, and that's the key, is you got to show up. You have to show up. Neighborhood meetings, attend your neighborhood meetings, attend the school board meetings. Make certain when you attend these meetings, don't just walk in and sit down. Just make your way around the room and just say hello to everyone. And then our seniors, we've got to slow down enough to listen to our senior citizens. I love my senior citizens simply because they make me slow down and listen to them. I've learned not to talk when I get with a senior citizen, just listen, because they have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. So, and then when they feel like you listening to them, they're going to get on the phone and tell 20 other seniors. You can call Mayor Jones. You can call Councilwoman Nelson. You can call Dr. Walker. You can call Councilman Wilson, because they will listen to you. And then you have all these people want to talk to you. So that's how you build that trust.
Yeah.
I want to go back real quick, because I'm speaking for, in my mind, some of the generation, I wasn't always tapped in. Okay. And I think it came because of lack of education of what this really means and how impactful it could really be to my community. Again, I talk about, which is really big, survival mode, when you're just focused in on taking care of self and family, because, some of us are in that space. We don't have a lot of great resources or support. And now as a mother, okay, as a mother. So how do we change that of coming to these meetings? Who are providing things to help people be engaged in these meetings? Because I just tried a meeting to get onto a meeting last week. I missed cooking my kids dinner. I got on and they didn't even have a meeting. And so I wasted time trying to be engaged like I'm supposed to be, that I could have been focused in on family. So how do we make sure when we're talking about telling people to be engaged, that we're making it easy for people to be engaged? Because I think that's a valid point too. When we're talking about come be engaged or come do this and come do that, how are we making it easy to be engaged and also effective for people to be engaged?
And that's the thing that I was saying earlier. Like, no one has figured that out. The thing is, we have to just be consistent in our messaging and getting the word out about things going on. But also, one thing that I think we don't take advantage of is our children. I think if the messaging is sent to our children, children have a huge effect on the parents. And I think the more and more we're involving our children on certain things, the more it will be talked about in the household. And so I think we missed the mark with our children sometimes. Like sometimes we think some things may be over the children's head, but it's not. I mean, our children are very smart. And the earlier we get to them, the more it becomes habit, because those children one day are going to become adults.
They
And
are.
so if we create the habit now of being engaged in the community, I believe, that's where you can kind of turn the page on some things as well. And so it's hard.
Ain't it?
It's hard, but we have to make sure that we try everything and we keep trying everything, because there's never going to be the right way. I mean, in Jennings, we've invested in marquees, we got email lists, we got phone blasts, we got websites, we got an app, we send stuff home through the school district, we put stuff in stores. Some elected officials are knocking on doors and handing stuff out and inviting folks in, having town hall meetings. I had a town hall meeting a week ago, and we were able to engage some folks that haven't been engaged since they've been living in Jennings, and they said they didn't even know all of these things were going on. And so we have to take advantage of those moments as well and encourage them and empower them to go tell someone else to, hey, come, they have these meetings, they have these neighborhood watch meetings. Like, we have neighborhood watch meetings, and every crime is the hot topic for everybody. Oh, it's not safe here, there's a lot of shooting. But I'm on those neighborhood watch meetings, and it's like the same people on there every time. But the thing is, you can't give up there. Like, you have to be creative. We have to share that meeting on our social media. Everybody share everything else. We need to start, if it's a video for the meeting, you need to share it on your Instagram or Facebook. You could capture those important points and put those things out there. Because I feel like I'm talking too much, but then also we have to always remember that it's gonna be people that's gonna be negative no matter what.
Exactly.
And so I think, instead of exhausting our energy into someone being negative about something, we just have to take it and then move forward and focus on the positive things, man. That's what's gonna move us forward.
Because one way will not work for everybody. We got to go out with several different approaches on this. So I think that if we look at if we try to look at all of those different approaches, we can all come together, partnership and collaboration and working together is a major key for us all as well. So we have to continue to make sure we keeping those lines of communication open with one another, and with the community, especially. And going back to what you said, Terry, about transparency. Transparency is a huge concept that we have to continue to relay and keep in mind that has to be there for the folks to come.
Go ahead, man.
Okay. One of the best things I've found since I've been mayor, that the mayors in Dalewood, Ferguson, and Jennings, we realize that if we don't collaborate, then this is not going to happen. And so what we did, we came together and we came up with one way how to zone the West Florissant corridor. Because when you went to Dalewood, they had a different zoning. When you went in Ferguson, you have a different zoning. In Jennings, you had a different zoning. Well, the mayors realized if we're going to grow our community, we've got to get together and be on the same page. And so that's why we came up with one zoning system for Dalewood, Ferguson, and Jennings. And that's going to help all the municipalities in this area to grow. The mayors coming together, working together, not to just improve their city, but the whole region around us. And that's important.
Okay, I was just going to add a little bit here and say that I think another potential strategy for engagement is to become intimately acquainted with the needs of the people in your community and to create events that address those needs. So, for example, there might be some really important information that the school district needs to communicate, but there might be partners in the community that offer resources that people in the community need. And can we partner with those folks to have the Housing Resource Center to be present, to have Operation Food Search or someone who helps with utility assistance, to have those folks in the room, which might make it something that people would consider to be worthwhile. We definitely want you to come out and hear about what's happening in the school district. But if people are struggling to meet their basic needs, hearing that there are those kinds of opportunities there might, be a draw for some people, maybe makes them show up more.
Yeah.
And I would like to add, that's one reason why Phaedra and I, we do the back to school program. But not only, it's not about giving the kids the backpack and the paper and the pencils, but it's the wraparound services that we provide. While the kids are out in the parking lot playing at the Y, the parents are in there looking for social services, how to get things done for their kids. So wraparound services, that's the key to getting parents out, I believe.
Yep.
You're muted.
We can't hear you.
My bad. I want to come in and definitely change this a little bit and gear it to a different perspective. So now I'm thinking for those who want to come into leadership and the status quo of what leadership supposed to look like, how do we help, I guess, water the seeds of people who are interested in this space but may feel like it's not accessible to them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think one thing I would probably say kind of goes back to what a couple of people have said, is just educating people about what the work actually is. And maybe that means we offer opportunities for people to come in and learn. I think you do have to start going to council meetings. You have to come to school board meetings. You have to go out and learn about those things. I think the other thing that's important is to figure out your why. Because sometimes you have to go deep within yourself and try to understand, why do you want to hold this office? And if you discover that it is more about you than it is about affecting change in the community, then you might want to rethink that and figure out if this is the best time for you to do it, because it truly is about affecting change in the lives of other people. It's very selfless kind of work. So I think educating people about what the work actually is will help some people make a decision about if this is what they want to do. And if they know this is what they want to do, then I think we have to build bridges and educate people about that.
And Shavonna, let me say this. It took me 5 years to educate myself. I'm going to be honest with you, because I did not have a clue. And I guess I didn't make it a priority to know a lot of things about my elected officials, about who was who and who worked for me and who did what. It took me 5 years to get involved. And then I had to get on. At the time, Miss Ella was my council person. So I had to make sure I was connected with certain people and know who they are and what their job is and what they do and what they're supposed to be helping me with as far as my community and my neighborhood. And so I had to get involved with that and knowing who my people were. That was real important for me, and knowing who my people were, knowing what their job was and their duties and what they're supposed to be doing, and going to council meetings, going to school board meetings, and learning, listening, observing, all of that. And it took me 5 years to do that before I even decided to run, besides, again, that getting that nudge from Mayor Ella as well. But it took me that long. So I had to learn and educate myself, and I wanted to be educated. And I felt bad that prior to that I didn't have myself educated on knowing all that I should know about the elected officials, policy, everything.
I want to say thank you for being that transparent in 100, because I agree. As someone who looks to one day run or decide to do that role as an elected official one day in the future, but I do feel the same because one thing, but I am starting to know too that we have to like get out of our shells and kind of just dive in sometimes too. Like we have, because the experience, like Terry said, you won't really know unless you get in. So I'm starting small, which I think is important. Is like we have boards and commissions within our communities that we should be on. Come on, y'all, that we should be a part of too. Shout out to Mayor Ella and me now being a part of the Ferguson Human Rights Commission. But there are boards and commissions in our community where we can start by there. Start small and then gradually grow. But I think I just really want to know, like, how I guess we can really inspire others. And I think you all are doing it today is by coming out and having conversations with those who may not be as engaged with on platforms like this. But really, how can we really inspire those who aren't that engaged to come and be involved and maybe get involved where we need them to be? Because those voices matter too, right? Go ahead,
And
Perry.
I was gonna say you really hit it when you start talking about those boards and commissions, and Phaedra as well. When she said you have to be involved and educate, that's the best place to learn.
Yeah.
And
that's where I learned. That's where I learned.
And it's a lot of boards and commissions that you could be on. And once you get involved, because just to be honest, I know when I first got elected, I looked at all of these boards. I said, this is how the community moves when folks are involved in those boards, because when you look at a lot of boards around St. Louis County and just in general, a lot of spots are vacant. And then some of the spots are filled with the same folks. Yep. And I think as
folks leaders, that don't even live in that area too. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as leaders, once again, we need to make sure that we're intentional in making sure the system is working the way that it is set up and it should be working. And it starts with those boards and commissions, because that's where your opinion and everything gets heard and your voice is heard, because you're right there making those recommendations. I give you an example. Planning and zoning. Planning and zoning is very important. And that is a citizen-driven board. The citizens literally make the recommendation to the elected officials on what comes in the community, what area is zoned for certain things. So those things that folks talk about at the kitchen table and things like that, those ideas start right there. And those boards and commissions are asking for people. And like I said, I think as leaders, we need to be more intentional about filling those boards with these folks and put them to work, because that's where their voice is going to be heard. And that's where it starts. That's why local government is so beautiful, man, because it affects us every day. Local politics, local issues, all of that stuff, man. And that's why we need to make sure that we're intentional about being involved, and the leadership needs to be intentional about placing folks in positions and not keeping the same people there, because you get the same thing all the time.
We need some new blood
single time.
You need some new blood.
And Siobhan, I wanted to
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Siobhan, I was going to just add too, when you talk about inspiring people, one of the things that I just thought about is just making sure people know that we are not superheroes, that we're just regular people just like you, and we just decided to be brave, right? To just kind of step out there and take a chance and see what would happen. I think sometimes people perceive us to be larger than life and like, oh my goodness, I could never do that. Dr. Powell-Walker was once just Sheila Powell-Walker and raising 5 babies. And I have been to the food pantries. I have needed assistance with my utilities. I have needed assistance with my housing. So I'm just a regular person. And so I want people to know that you can do the same thing. If you desire to do things in your community to make a difference, that you don't have to be some person with a cape on to do that. You just have to have a willing heart.
You must, and you got to become engaged and start with your neighborhood. Start right where you are. I know you have block units. We have neighborhoods meetings. And then I know in Ferguson, we have the youth initiative. Find out how if you're a young person, find out what's going on with the FYI, and then go volunteer there, or go be a part of it. I have always been this way, and I'm always going to do it, and I'm not going to quit doing. When I when I'm out and about and I get an opportunity to talk to a young person, I'm gonna immediately put you to work. And I have so many people running from me because they say, every time I turn around, Mary Jones putting you to work. That's what it's about. Because guess what? This is our home. And the only way we're going to make it better, get our young people involved,
Definitely.
educate these other people, become a mentor to someone, and then let somebody follow you around. I know I had one person call me and say, well, Mary Jones, you're doing too much. Every time I turn around, you on television, you doing photo op, you doing this, you doing that. You done made the job more than what it's supposed to be. I said, okay, why don't you come spend a day with me? You drive me. My day starts early, but you know what? I started my day at 9 o'clock. At 10:30, this person said, can I drop you back home? You do too much.
You out here, right? You're out here.
And now she said, ooh, I'm glad you out there working for the community. But let them follow you. Let them spend some time with you.
That's a good point. Yeah, like you said, mentor some people. Yeah, get the people to be able to see what it's like to be in those shoes. I definitely think that's important. Whew, this has been hot. This has been a good conversation, y'all. But I do want to open it up a little bit and have the opportunity to let the viewers chime in and ask some questions, because this is a unique situation, honestly. And so I do want them to get an opportunity to speak to you all and have questions that they answer questions that they have. So we have one in the chat right now. It says, what are the unique challenges you face being Black and being in leadership?
Being Black and being in leadership.
I'll say the challenges that I face have existed before I even became an elected official. Just carrying the weight of being a Black man in society right now is heavy. And so, you know, I take the challenges and turn them into lessons, and I share what I've learned with others. So I think somebody mentioned mentorship. Mentorship is very important. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a Black father and a Black husband, and so I have to be an example for my household, and being that example for my household in turns being an example for the community. So at the end of the day, making sure my integrity is intact, doing all things with integrity, because you know we don't need another Black man on the news for doing something wrong. And so I just make sure everything that I do it with integrity, and I think about the decisions that I make before I make them. And I talk to folks who've been there before me as well, and I take the counsel of folks that have done it before me. But you know, always just holding myself to a high standard and doing things with integrity is how I get through the challenges that I face as a Black man and as a Black elected official. Just maintaining the level of integrity.
And I'm gonna say this, but that is what I mean when I say we have to be this. You said the Superman cape; it's already put on us. That standard is already put on us in the game. You being a Black man, you're gonna have to come in and do it 3 times differently than what the other counterparts have done, and that is what the problem is for me. Like, why can't we change that up? But that's me. That's what I feel. Because I think if we're going to talk about allowing people to get into leadership, we have to shake out what that looks like and what that means, in a sense. Like, nobody should have to be perfect. No one is perfect on either side of the spectrum, right? We all should not be held to a certain standard when we're talking about, I shouldn't have to change who I am to sit at your table. That's how I feel. But that's
correct.
That's my spiel. This y'all show. We gonna keep it moving.
That was the last thing I was gonna say too. I was gonna say, what you see is what you get. Terry is gonna be Terry. You know, I like to have fun. I like to eat. But I also care about my community. I know the importance of handling the business of the community. But I mean, what you see is what you get from Terry Wilson, and I think people recognize that because people are in different rooms and they hear you in different rooms, and if you're having that same conversation in this room with white folks that you're having in the same conversation with black folks, people take you serious because they know, hey, Terry about his word, or Ella's about her word, or Faith is about her word, you know, because we're having those same conversations and being genuine, you know, so.
That is
Integrity
true.
is everything.
You got to know who you are and whose you are. You can't live your life by committee, and you can't make decisions on the whims of the people. You have to know your subject matter. You have to know who you're representing. You have to be willing to listen. And the challenge is people want you to conform to where they want you to conform. Mayor so and so did it that way. Why are you doing that? Why you can't? Oh, no, my name is Ella. It is not so and so. And I'm going to be who I am, you know. And the challenges come. People don't like the way I dress. Well, how you want me to look? All kind of foolishness. But you have to know who you are and whose you are and what you're willing to do for the people. And that's the most important thing.
Right.
I learned something a
Right.
couple of days ago. I was talking to a business owner, and he and I were sharing some information, and he said something that struck a chord with me, and I hadn't heard it in years. He said that if you let somebody anger you, push your buttons, then that person controls you. Think about it. Because they're making you react the way they want you to react. And I said, is that why when I sit in those meetings and smile and they talking all kind of foolishness, I don't move? He said, and I've been watching you. You don't allow people to move you. You move when you get ready. So you got to be your authentic self. Like Terry said, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah. Definitely.
That part.
Definitely.
How can the community collaborate with Black elected leadership to ensure our communities thrive?
So I can speak to that one, I think, briefly. So as it pertains to serving on the school board, one of the things that we're always thinking about are the needs of students, those things that present themselves as barriers to learning for students. And so one way that I can think of that we currently, and I think are trying to expand our reach in this area, is partnering with mental health and social service providers in the community, not only to create that access to families and children in general, but to also embed those folks in our buildings so that kids have greater access to that support during the school day. So that's one way that I think that when we talk about just a school board and a school district, we can be partnering with those kinds of providers in the community and others who may provide services that our children and families could benefit from, so that we can make sure people have the resources that they need, because we are about trying to remove those things that are going to keep children from learning. So if having a connection with a food pantry or a utility service provider is going to help make sure that kid lives in a home where they have what they need so they can come to school and focus on learning and not what's going on at home, then I think that's some work that we should be doing.
Anybody else? How can community collaborate with Black elected leadership to ensure our communities thrive?
Well, one way I believe, to be real.
Be real and raw. Come on, Miss Ella.
If you want to collaborate, then you got to show up. You have to show up. If there's a meeting, show up and make certain you have an opportunity to speak to that leader before you leave. You must let that person know the meeting was good, but I thought so and so. If you never tell us, if you never talk to us, but you always fussing at us.
No, I want to back that up and shout out to Miss Kelly McGowan and the work that she does, because I agree. one thing that our counterparts will do, they gonna show up. They
Show
gonna
up.
let their voices be heard, and baby, they ain't gonna stop that. They gonna keep it going till they get what they want. So I agree. We definitely need to make sure that we're showing up, letting our voices be heard, and being very persistent as they do. So I do agree. Anybody else want to go
I,
ahead?
I was
Go
gonna
ahead,
say
Terry.
I was gonna say on the other side of the coin, us as leaders need to be willing to collaborate as well.
Exactly. I was
Right.
just going to say that.
Because some folks, you turn folks off when you're not willing
Yep.
to collaborate, and
And
sometimes
when you don't show up,
yeah,
when you don't show up,
when you
Because they don't show up a lot of
when
times.
you don't
too.
show up,
we have to make sure that we're responsive to the emails, to the phone calls, and when someone says something to us in person, we need to make sure we follow up. You know,
Yeah.
and we need to be honest. We need to be honest because some collaborations just can't happen. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be honest and say, hey, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Or let's try to figure out another way. But we as leaders need to make sure that we are willing to collaborate. And yeah, showing up is very important.
Showing
We
Yeah,
have
and
to
sometimes you
we
gotta show
have to
up.
see we have to see you, we have to hear you.
And I want to
And
say
that's
sometimes you have to show up in spaces that aren't necessarily normal or may not get you
Right.
that vote.
yeah.
That
As
is
Orlando Sharp said, Mr. Sharp said, clear intentions. Clear intentions.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Clear
Absolutely.
intentions.
Well, you all, I appreciate again you all showing up to the Hood Talks podcast and definitely coming to have this conversation with me because I thought it was really important, especially from the people who hold those positions and know what it's like to be in that experience in leadership. I do want to get this last question out here for you all. And then if you are willing to please offer up how people may be able to contact you if they want. The last question is, we have one more question in the chat. We're gonna answer his question and then we're gonna close it out. Last question. One of the most neglected groups in our community is the Black man, age 35 plus. Tougher to get services, which are already more limited. We see grants for youth all the time, but this 35 plus group are the fathers of these same youth. They are felons looking for employment. They are undiagnosed. They are viewed as the absent. What are your efforts to strengthen this group?
Mm.
Great
Well,
question.
let me go because I do work in that area. And I have partnered with the Urban League Save Our Sons. And any felon or anyone that needs to re-enter or have a job, that is the best place to go. I know Beyond Housing does something too, but not only do they help you get a job, they show you how to dress, they teach you soft skills, and then they bring employers in for you to get a job. Also, there's the father support system. You know, it's out there to help you learn how to be a good father. So always check the Urban League, Save Our Sons, and the father support. And you know, we do understand it's hard for a Black man to raise a family in these times. Because Terry is a good example. He's always spending time with his boys, and when I see him without his sons, I ask him, "Where are the boys?" He says, "Sometimes me and my wife got to be by ourselves."
Yeah.
But he always, you know, have his children. He's fortunate to do that. But if you want to get on the right path, go to the Urban League, be involved with Save Our Sons, go to the father support. They will help you to improve the quality of your life. Once you improve the quality of your life, you're going to automatically improve the quality of life for your children.
I think what I would probably just add here is from the perspective of working in a school district and then serving on a school board, I would like to think that we are engaged in the work of trying to reduce the numbers in that group. I think that we need to be doing some early identification and early intervention. So when we recognize that we have children in our schools who need additional services, what are we doing even at the elementary level to respond to the needs of those kids so that we can reduce the numbers that are in the group? But I think that this is an excellent question that has been posed, but I'd like to think that we're on the prevention side of that work.
And I honestly, personally think that's a great start. Is how can we start it at the beginning before it gets to the end? And then I guess for me in the Hood Talks podcast is trying to find and tap into those grassroots organizations that's also providing those services, because no shade to the Urban League or any of those other services that's being provided. I do think that we sometimes as Black people need to grasp and take hold of those services we provide into our own. But that's my cup of tea. And I'm going to say this is the last question, and we're gonna get y'all out of here. Any advice, suggestions, or tips you can offer up to someone from our community who may be interested in becoming an elected official?
Educate yourself, and know who your local, state, a level of who all your people are. Definitely educate yourself.
And I like what Ella said earlier. I mean, she didn't say it exactly this way, but this is what she was describing. And I think Terry might have mentioned it a little bit too. The idea of maybe creating opportunities for people to shadow you. People that have those interests, come and hang out with me for a day and see what this work is like. So I think that along with what Phaedra said, I think is really important.
That's a good start of a program, somebody.
Well, with me, my advice, if you want to be not a politician, but a public servant, there's a difference between the two, because I know I am a servant leader. But if you want to be in this space, go volunteer on a campaign. One thing I love about Dr. Walker, her son worked on the campaign. I was too impressed. He was what, 18, 19, 20, something like that. That little young man got out here, Vaughn, and he knocked doors. I think he was your campaign manager.
He was my, and it's interesting.
Work.
He did. And it's interesting, Ella, when he initially said, Mama, I can do this, I was like, boy, you just, however old he was at the time, and I had never done this before. So I was like, I don't know about that, but you're absolutely right, Ella. He got out here, he knocked on doors, he talked to people about his mother and how he thought I would be a great candidate for the school board. And so, yeah, I'm very proud of the work he's done also. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I am a big supporter of your son.
Yes,
you raised
awesome
a great
young man.
son. Yes,
Awesome young
with
man.
the Lord's help, that is for sure. With the Lord's help.
Thank you for that. So from the product that I'm like, thank you for being the president of the school board system.
Yeah.
But yes, anybody else want to answer to that?
No, I was gonna. Everybody said all the things I was thinking, but one of the reoccurring themes that I keep hearing that is true, you got to show up. You got to be present. If this is something that you want to do, you need to be in the presence of where the work is being done. And seek out a mentor. You'll be surprised if you ask someone to mentor you in a certain space, they'll be willing to do that. You know what I mean? So you got to be brave and you got to be bold. Closed mouth don't get fed.
Not at all.
And that's one thing I learned early on. I'm not intimidated by nobody's title or stature. If it's a space that I want to get involved in, I'm going to reach out to someone who's done it. And you need to seek someone who has done it. And not sit in the back room and talk to people who ain't even did it before. You know, how you going to teach me how to do something that I want to do and you ain't even did it? So seek out the people who are doing it and seek out the people who are doing it well. And I think that's the biggest tip that I can get, and learn as much as possible.
And seek out some of those programs like NLF and NLA.
Absolutely.
We Power, the Chisholm's Chair. Seek out some of those programs.
It's a lot of resources out there to get you involved. And one thing I will say, once you learn everything that goes into it, I guarantee a lot of people will change their mind, because I don't think everybody wants this smoke.
I was like, they see it from a distance and be like, yeah. Then
exactly.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Somebody get upset about something that happened in the community. I'm running for mayor. Oh, you don't, I don't think you want that. I don't think you want.
I don't think they want
that. Yeah. So show up, get educated, find you a mentor, and that's my tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, thank you all again for bringing, being authentic yourselves and being transparent here on the Hood Talks podcast. Shout out to you for what you just mentioned, Terry. In LA and NLF, some great programs. Shout out to them. This is how the Hood Talks podcast was created. And we will be doing a special segment around those organizations. So you will get to know and learn about what they are, because that is one part of what helped me move into the space I am now with the Hood Talks podcast and community. So y'all, this is season 2, y'all. I am super excited to be here again with season 2. We have changed up some things, as you can see. We're bringing some dope other segments to the Hood Talks podcast. We're doing our live shows now once a month, but we will have the Hood Heals, where we're talking to therapists and specialists in the mental health field. We're doing the Hood Needs. We will continue talking to nonprofit organizations that's bringing great resources to our community. And we are doing the storytelling segment, where I get to talk one-on-one with some community members, because that was my goal too, right? Raise the community voices. So I will have those segments, and we will be releasing them live show once a month, and we'll be doing one of those segments also to follow up once a month. So that's what's coming here, season 2. I got y'all. I'm not playing. When your girl say she is in it to bring y'all the resources and uplift community voices, that is exactly what I am doing. So keep tuning in. Y'all want to support the Hood Talks podcast? Share, y'all. Share this live. Share this information. Tell people the Hood Talks podcast is here and what all we are doing. And on that note, my good people, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and also follow us on all our social medias. And you can find all of that information at www.thehoodtalks.com.